Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah. This is my fourth video in now, fourth week in even, and I am having a great time so far. So I am a very baby, brand new booktuber, but I'm absolutely loving it. I just wanted to say if you have liked, subscribed, watched my videos so far, left comments, I really appreciate it. I just didn't even think I'd get barely 5 subscribers, let alone reach over 100. So I am so incredibly thankful for the support because deciding to do something like this can be quite scary. And I had this fear of like, nobody wants to see any of that. But I was pleasantly surprised. So thank you so much. Anyway, now I've got the pleasantries out the way. Today's video is going to be all about what's on my to be read list or my TBR. So I used to have a massive collection of books, but I moved out of my flat and I'm now living in a shared house. So I've just got my room. So I really had to downsize in how many books that I've had, like physical books, obviously. And so my physical book collection isn't amazing. And I can only hold so much really in this room. So a lot of the time I do read mostly on my Kindle. However, I do have a physical to be read list of books that I've sort of picked up over the last year or so that I just haven't gotten around to reading yet. And what I'm going to do this year, I know I'm on the journey of reading The Cosmere, which was my last video that I talked about. So I'm not going to talk about those books in this video, but I've got a pile of physical books that some of them I've had for well over a year. And my main goal is to finish all of these books as well this year. Especially before buying any new books. Because I don't really have the room and space for physical books, I'm going to donate them to the charity shop afterwards. The only book that I'm not going to give to charity is my Brandon Sanderson special edition of Wind and Truth. Because, yeah, I don't want to give special editions away, but when I'm done with the regular books, I will be giving them to charity. And I'm only really going to pick up more physical books until I'm back to living by myself and I have the space to have my own little library book nook that all these people have. And I'm desperate to have an aesthetic background and whatnot. But let's get into what is on my to be read list. First up, this is in no particular order, so I might not read all of these books in the order that I'm shown on this video, but I'm just going to go and show you the books that I've got, and whatever order I read them in, it is what it is. I've got the definitive biography of Joe Strummer. Now, The Clash is one of my favourite bands of all time. They've always ignited some fiery passion in me, and I absolutely adore that band. And I love Joe Strummer. I've been wanting to read a biography on him for a long time, and I got this for Christmas. I think maybe a couple of Christmases ago, or it might have been my birthday. But I've definitely had this a good while, and yeah, it's something that I am going to get around to this year. So it's very meaty. So the next book on my TBR is this book called Soldier Boy by Cassandra Parkin. Now, I've never heard of this book before, but it came in a collection of books that I was given for my birthday last year. It was one of those, like subscription type boxes where you pay like, I don't know how much they cost, but you get a selection of different genres in the box. So this was part of that selection box, and what I like about those boxes is, and why I was so excited to get that box for my birthday, was because I like to read books that I've not really heard of before and just dive in and try something new. I've read 2 books so far this year out of that box, and I've really enjoyed, but I loved one more than the other, but we'll get to that in another video. But yeah, so this book sounds really interesting because it sounds like it's about a soldier who was discharged from the military and is potentially suffering with PTSD, and he's got his daughter with him, and his wife goes missing, and it sounds like it's about some sort of journey. So, as the consequences of Alana's choices unfold, nothing will ever be the same again. So that's the daughter, and that sounds really interesting to me. And it'd be interesting to see how this author deals with the topic of like PTSD and things that I know people get from the military. So this I'm really looking forward to. So next up on the list, we've got Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yaros. Still got the sticker on. My bad. I actually bought this last year in a service station on my way to the Lake District with all intention of getting reading done, and I didn't. I went to the Lake District to escape and detox, and I was on my phone most of the time when I wasn't in the mountains. I don't think I read at all. Anyway, so I'd heard about this book, which is now obviously a massive sensation with the third book that's just come out. But yeah, at some point this year, I will get to see what the hype is all about. I've read conflicting reviews on it. I'll be interested to see what it's like because I do enjoy books with dragons in and a strong female character lead. Oh, look. It's even got dust on it. My room's really dusty. Shameful. So, next up on the list, we've got the London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. So, this is the fourth and final book that I got in the collection of books for my birthday in the surprise box, and I just had to unseal it just to quickly read the blurb because it's been in the wrapping the whole time. So, yeah, but this one sounds really interesting actually. It's from what it sounds like a bit of a mix of mystery, whodunit, and creepy. So it's about this woman that lives in Paris who performs seances on murder victims so she can get the identities of the murderers. And then this woman comes from London to look into her sister's death. Now I think she's a bit of a skeptic and too logical for the occult world. So this woman ends up being the seance's understudy. They go back to London to try and solve a murder, and it seems like they may be tied up in a crime themselves. So this sounds fun. Like, not fun, but creepy fun. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So his next book is a non-fiction, again with the sticker on it, and another one that I had all intention of reading when I picked up at a service station on my way to the Lake District, but didn't read it at all. But I must read this year because it's all about exploring people in history that have gained a hell of a reputation, whether it's a celebrity or political figure. It's about exploring these people and exposing whether they were deserving of the accreditations that they received by people and kind of looking into people's some of these people's murky past. To me, this sounded really interesting. But yeah, all about exposing the truth of the past, and it just sounds right up my street. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Now, this one I picked up not that long ago, and it was a bit of an impulse buy because I'm in my gigantic fantasy novel era, The Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, I bought it basically off of impulse and vibes, just purely off vibes. I haven't even watched any reviews or read any reviews, but I did quickly look on Goodreads and it is quite highly reviewed. I love a big, thick fantasy novel. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos now. Dragons, fantasy, women characters. I'm looking forward to getting into this, and you know what? Hell yeah. I just love it when the text is small as well. But I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm quite used to reading books this heavy on the train, but I was a bit worried for a second. You know what I love about big fantasy novels is just the lore you get to explore. Talking of big fat fantasy novels, I got George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. I've read all the other Game of Thrones books, but I haven't read any of the offshoots. So I did watch House of the Dragon on HBO, but I don't know. I'm hoping the book will be better. I was absolutely obsessed with the Game of Thrones books like over a decade ago when I read them, and I think hopefully this should have the same fulfillment. Although George R. R. Martin, I don't mean to put pressure on you, but we could really use the last book in A Song of Ice and Fire. That would be really nice. I think this was a good exploration to do because we just got a glimpse into the Targaryens in the Game of Thrones series, and to go back into the history of what happens, and yeah. And last but not least, I got this as a birthday present last year, and yeah, I was still in the middle of reading The Way of Kings last year, which is why I hadn't started this. But Throne of Glass series, I was so lucky that I was bought this whole set for my birthday. I I finished reading A Court of Thorns and Roses at the beginning of last year, so I was dying to get into another set of these books, of her books. So I don't believe that I'll finish all of these by the end of the year, mostly because I'm reading the Brandon Sanderson Cosme novels, especially since I've got The Priory of the Orange Tree to read as well, and that'll probably take me a month in itself. So yeah, uh, we'll give it a good go though. We'll give it a good go. But yeah, that's all on my physical to be read list at the moment. I had a few more, but I've actually already at the beginning of the year gotten through quite a big chunk. I say a big chunk. I've already read 4 that were on my physical to be read list. So I'm going to be talking about that in my next video after this, which will be about all the books that I've read in January. But yeah, for now, this was my TBR list for the year and onwards. So if you're watching this, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I also hope you have a splendid week or weekend.